Hey spooky friends, today is a very exciting day. It is release day for Cabernet. Cabernet is a 2D narrative role-playing game set in a 19th century Eastern European inspired world with a modern twist. Guide Liza, a young vampire in her new unlife among the unsuspecting townsfolk. Will you retain your humanity, or will you descend further into the horror you've become? It is a game I have a lot of anticipation for. I have a lot of expectations. There is also a lot of hype in the spooky community surrounding this game. So I am mostly intrigued at if it will meet my expectations, if I was totally off the mark in what I was assuming this game was going to be about. So in this video, I'm hoping to offer you my honest, unfiltered reaction to playing this game for a few hours, my first impressions, no spoilers though. So hopefully this gives you a good idea whether or not you should splurge and purchase this game, because although there is a little new release sale going on PlayStation when I purchased it this morning, it is still around $18 to $20. That's expensive. Hopefully sharing my thoughts, my feelings, my reactions will help you figure out if it's something that you should purchase at this moment. Okay, are we ready to play? I think we are. I'm going to get cozy on the floor because we recently got a new TV and this fan hasn't arrived yet, but that isn't stopping me. So excuse the mess, but the spooky show must go on. I've been playing for about 2 hours now, and although I feel like I've barely scratched the surface, I do think I have enough under my belt to kind of make some, evaluations and have some first impressions. I was creating a list of likes and dislikes as I was playing, and first and foremost, I think there's some really cool gameplay. I am not super familiar with RPGs. I haven't played too many of them, and I think mostly if you have watched any of my cozy gaming videos on here where I talk about, the games I'm currently playing, I feel like for me, my sweet spot is going to be puzzle games that are narrative based, and occasionally I will dabble in some visual novels. So I'll start off with some likes here. I really do love the setup, the mechanics of this game, and most games have a log, a player's log. They call it different things, but basically it's just a way for you to kind of keep track of your points, skill development, possibly any locations you've ever been to, characters you've met. This game's player log is very easy to understand, and there's also relationships too, so that's going to be really important depending on the number that is associated with your relationship with that person. That'll give you access to certain choices in your conversations with these people. And she'll also, by making certain choices, she'll gain experience points, which then she could use to add to any kind of skill set of her choice. And there's music, literature, science, history. Yeah, I think those are all of the ones. And then there's also a glossary as well, which is really cool because although it's set in this fictional Eastern European town, it is pulling from actual stuff and mythology and folklore, but then it's also adding its own thing into the mix. It's really nice to have this place. It's a one-stop shop for understanding the world building that's going on in this game. And then there's an inventory, so you are able to hold on to items as you go through the game. Something that really stood out to me is that through Lisa's decisions and choices that I ultimately make, she's kind of becoming one side of this spectrum as a vampire. So it's kind of a good vampire versus bad, but it's interesting the terms they use. They use humanity versus nihilism. So her decisions that I make on her behalf will have her moving into one side of that spectrum, which then will give her access to certain decisions down the road. So it's kind of interesting and kind of fun when you think about replayability. This time around, I kind of was making decisions that I would make, and so it could be fun to replay this game a second time. I could totally see myself playing it again and do it from more an evil perspective. And I think super notable about this game is the music. There's one scene where it's raining and there's just gorgeous, always, you could change the settings if you don't like it, but I really love this low playing piano. It's so atmospheric in the background, and then the intro to the game is the sounds of a music box. It's very creepy, very macabre in the best coziest way possible. It's pretty obvious to me playing so far, the dialogue really shines here. I've played some games where I feel like I'm like, okay, who would really be saying this? Like no like adult or human, like any person would have this kind of conversation, these kind of interactions, and it felt very believable. And I think it helped that there were also voice actors who were saying exactly what you were reading, which is kind of nice. And I'm sure you could change the setting on that to not hear anybody's voice. And I think that's really cool. With that being said, I do think some of the characters don't have the best voice acting, but at least Liza's character, her acting, I think is super top notch, very believable. And really, those are the only negative things I have to say. I'm finding the story to be very, intriguing. I mean, it's pretty par for the course. She wakes up, she's confused. What am I? What's going on? What is this world? And we're getting introduced to it. All the players in this game, the hierarchy, there's a lot of power structures that be, and just getting to know like what this kind of vampire is all about. Like she's experiencing that at the same time we are. I'm very happy with the game. And one thing to note about it though, and they do mention this at the very beginning of the game, is that there is discussions of alcoholism and abuse of alcohol. So that's something to think about for yourself. For myself, I am very hyped to continue playing this game. It's going to be the delicate dance of like playing enough to have fun and enjoy it, but like not zooming through it. But it does have that replayability, so I won't be too worried about that. I'm currently on chapter 3. I don't know how many chapters there are total in the game, but I really am enjoying how the story is unfolding. Although I do find myself at times feeling like the game is like missing something story or mechanics wise. I can't put my name on it, but it doesn't engage me fully. And that might be, I'm thinking, because I am a really big like puzzle gamer. So, I mean, I don't like games that are purely puzzles. Like I do need that narrative combination. So maybe that's what I'm thinking. Like there isn't enough of the puzzle element that made me really love Roki, and there isn't enough of like intense quests and mysteries like in Dredge. Yeah, maybe it's just the genre is really relaxing, really low key, and that's not something I'm either used to or maybe I don't like as much as I thought. But the fact that it revolves all around vampires and the story and the characters, like I have no complaints there. I feel like there's a lot of depth and options, and I'm really enjoying learning about the society and the lore about the vampires that they're creating within this world. But one thing I really wanted to make sure I talked about in this video, and I'm sad to say it, the game is a bit glitchy, and I only learned this by playing it for, I think it was maybe within like the 3rd hour I started playing it. I did notice that there were some issues with like the screen freezing, and it was so sad to have to go back and like redo things, because that's another thing that's annoying about this game is I haven't figured out a way to save my progress if it isn't at the start of a new day, which then requires you to take Liza back to her home, start a whole new day over, and time is important in this game, and tracking that in relationship to the quests you have in your little log. It can get a little annoying because also I can't guarantee I'm going to be able to sit down and play the whole day out in this world. I need to, go and live my life sometimes. So that's a bit frustrating to feel like I can't just start and stop whenever I want, on top of the glitches that apparently continue on in the game, or at least that's what people have been writing and sharing online. So it isn't only me who is experiencing glitches. The second I experienced that while I was playing, I went online, people are talking about it in their reviews and on Reddit. So it's a bummer because a lot of people have very positive things to say about the game, the way it looks and the storytelling, and then they talk about the mechanics with those glitches. So hopefully there's going to be some patches that come out and that really target those problem areas. Because the last thing I want is to play through this game, get super invested, having a lot of fun, and there's a certain way I want the story to go and to end, and then I'm not able to have that option, and it's just, I don't know, it was really annoying because I had to like replay a certain part of the game like 3 times, because for one, it didn't save the first time, and I thought it did, but then I learned how to actually save in the game, and then I glitched the second time through, and then I had to play it again, and I'm like, finally, okay, we're able to move through this. So just something to keep in mind. It is unfortunately glitchy. After me sharing all of the pros and cons from my playing experience, I'm interested to know, do you have plans to purchase Cabernet? Have you already started playing it? What do you think? Let me know if you have any video game recommendations that are matching the vibe of this game. I would absolutely love to know about them. I feel like I look high and low for any kind of spooky but cozy video game that has like the aesthetics of horror or Halloween without like the intense emotional visceral experience. I kind of like that middle ground. So if you have any, definitely leave those down below in the comments, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.